There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
Yes, we are. And here we are for our second episode of the week.
Right? Because we got some recapping to do.
Yeah, so we had put out another new episode covering episode 2 just a couple of days ago.
Yep, just
and we are here to cover episode 3 so that we are all caught up. And thank you everybody for bearing with us. And we're here. So let's talk about the Curse of Oak Island season 9, episode 3, Stone Roadblock.
Wah, wah.
What?
Actually, it was a really good
It was a really good episode.
At least I thought it was like
It was wonderful.
really wonderful.
So what's up? People are starting to get into the chat in the live stream. So welcome. If you have not ever joined us for a live stream, we recommend you do so. There's a lot of great people and a lot of fun stuff going on in our chat. And you can find that on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook whenever we go live.
Exactly.
And we usually post that we're going live on Facebook. So check us out there and then find out when we're going live. Join in on the fun.
Usually on Facebook. So make sure to follow along on our page. That's where like all the most recent updates and all that good stuff happens. So
yes, we got a couple Marys in the chat, probably a couple Jeffs,
couple Marys, couple Jeffs,
and then we got our friend Kristen's here, Boki's here. We got our friends are showing up. So
yay.
What's up, Tanya? All right, so let's talk about what's going on in the money pit. How about we start there?
We'll start in the money pit.
Rick and Craig show up. They're like, "What's up, guys?"
Yeah, so Rick and Craig join Terry, Steve, Scott, and Charles at the operating table.
Okay. Steve tells Rick and Craig that there's a rumor going around that they tested the metal found in D2. Is that true?
Yeah, he was all about finding out right away. They barely walked up. He's like, "Hey, tell me about the gold."
I'm just thinking, Steve, we've known for over a week now, bro.
Catch up, man.
Yeah. So Craig does let him in on what the XRF had told them in the archaeology trailer. The X-ray fluorescent.
And we're just stay
test.
With XRF.
The XRF had 2 samples that came back with gold on them.
So,
you know what's weird?
What?
They only showed us one of the items, and there's supposedly 2. Why?
What?
They had 2 items that came up with gold. That's what they said, but we only know of one because that's all they show us. And then, I'm already getting ahead of myself because I tend to do that. But they go to talk to Dr. Krista Brousseau, and she says samples that they're going to look at, and then they only examine one. I'm just throwing that.
Maybe it like broke, so now instead of 1, it's 2.
Don't know. Anywho,
it might be the one they were comparing from last year.
Could be. Could be. All right, so Terry and Steve, they look stunned at the revelation that they found gold on metal in the money pit. So, I mean, they held that in their hands, right? They're the ones that pulled it out.
That's true.
We had Charles doing the metal detecting with the pinpointer. He spotted it. So, it's kind of their find. It's their gold.
Sure. So, does that like on the board of finds? Do they get like bonus gold points?
Maybe we should give gold points. Gold stars.
Gold stars.
Steve, you get a gold star this week, bro.
So does Terry and Charles, though.
And Scott was there.
So as a collective team, they get gold stars. So the Money Pit boys get gold stars.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Rick says it's not just gold. The percentage is extremely high, 700 parts per million, which might sound kind of small, but relatively speaking, it's a good little tiny chunk. A good little tiny chunk.
I personally don't know, but I believe you.
Well, it's not parts per billion.
Yeah, that's true. So million, billion. So
I mean, a million is 1,000 billions, or a billion is 1,000 millions. So All right, so there was a flashback to finding that metal in D2 at the 88.5-foot level and the XRF analysis. In a little side interview, Rick says that it's far more interesting if the gold is part of the metal rather than in close proximity to gold underground, and it means that it could be a valuable item. So,
I agree, Rick.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Clotworthy discusses that the next target in the C1 cluster, borehole B4, which is 14 feet to the northeast of borehole D2. So in like when Clotworthy is explaining that, I'm like, why are they moving so far away from where they just found that metal? Like, why wouldn't they do another one like, a foot away instead of 14 feet away?
Because they probably have one like a foot away.
And they just didn't show us, or what?
If they had pulled something up out of there and they pulled a part of what they think is a part of a beam, and they think they know what direction that the tunnel could be going in, then it makes sense to, go a few away. I don't know. You have to ask them.
I'm asking you.
I mean, it's really not that far away.
How about you, Chad? Do you know? Hey, Trisha's watching us from the food court at the mall.
Woo woo!
That's pretty
Lucky
cool.
You and the food
over
court.
in Jersey, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, I don't know. That's just something that came into my mind. Like, why don't they just move a foot rather than like 14 feet? They found something good. You might as well try to like zero in on that thing. But
it costs a lot to drill, and it takes time. And
they're already like, okay, we found something there. We're gonna put a big can there, right? Is that what they're thinking? You think?
Well, we kind of see that later, right?
I know, but like, is that their thing? Are they like, okay, we found something interesting here. We're gonna put a 10-foot can here. Let's go ahead and move on to something that's a little bit further away.
Well, they already had planned, right, what the cluster was gonna be as far as where they were gonna put them down. So yeah, that would make sense. Like, okay, we've got a good finding here. Something's probably gonna go down here based off of this data and previous data. So let's see if there's anything hanging out in the other part of our C1 cluster.
Let's see. And so they try to see. So they shall.
So they shall. Like carry on.
Yeah. So there was a little side interview where Marty says that gold on the steel is very encouraging, and if it's accurate that the gold is on the metal and that there's no natural source, then he'd say that they're closing in on the treasure. And to me, that sounds really good.
Mm-hmm. Like, Marty seems encouraged, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, at this part of the episode, Marty seems really happy.
So. Oh, Marty, it's kind of a roller coaster for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Rick asks to see Terry's grid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask to see Deidre's grid. Where's your grid?
I don't have it handy.
Oh, never mind then.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were like Miss Grid over here.
I am. I'm a grid girl.
Yeah. Oh, man, the grid girls.
Grid girls.
Unite.
Grid girls unite.
Okay. Calm down.
You calm down.
All right. Terry shows them that they're working on B4, which is on the northern perimeter of the C1 cluster of tunnels.
Not after?
No.
Okay.
And if they find evidence of tunnels, then they have something more to chase. So they're all pretty stoked about this. Rick does kind of finish up this little segment at the money pit by saying it's too exciting not to chase. And it's like it's Christmas morning, but it's not always about Christmas morning. It's about what leads up to it. And though they're not there yet, they know that there are packages under the tree. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Yeah, and then so they leave the money pit. Do they go back to the money pit? They sure do.
Yeah, we have
very
another
briefly.
Section in the money pit,
well,
but like
it's literally
really.
One sentence in the notes. It says Adam from Choice Drilling drops another choice sausage on Terry's operating table. Its contents are from a depth of 49 feet.
Which we know is not at the horizon we're really interested in anyways.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of it for the money pit. No, we have one more.
Yeah, I guess towards the end of the episode, right?
Yeah, so
we have Craig, Terry, Charles, Steve, and Scott, money pit boys hanging out there, who are overseeing borehole B4. And the first sausage that hits the table is at 89 feet.
Okay, that's right. In the zone of interest.
The zone of interest, the tunnel horizon, if you will.
Sure. And
at the very bottom of that core, so at the 89-foot mark, they have a little bit of wood. Itty bitty wood.
It looks like a dowel.
It
like
does.
A little tiny dowel sticking out the end.
Craig, I think, pulls it out. It does. It looks like a dowel and goes, boop, puts it just right back in there.
Yep. And but Terry was stoked.
Oh,
he's like, oh, this is what I wanted to see.
So was Robert Clotworthy.
He was.
Wood found nearly 90 feet. Well, yeah, almost 90. Sure. Terry points out that they're right at the tunnel horizon, and where they've been hitting it is at 88 to 92 feet. So this is very interesting. And they only got a little bit of wood in this one, but the next one, which hits the table, is at 90, is the 93-foot one. And Terry pulls out a huge piece of wood, and it's definitely been hand sawn.
Okay, it wasn't huge. It was just a bigger chunk.
Okay, it was significantly bigger than the toothpick. So it was 30. Okay.
It was.
And it looked like it would have been done with a handsaw because your sign's all wiggity whack.
It wasn't machine.
No, definitely. And Craig agrees with that. Thanks. Yeah. This is good. This is good stuff. So
And so it's the beginnings of more pieces to the puzzle. But they're still missing about 500 pieces to this 1,000-piece puzzle, right?
Right. And it's funny because as they're kind of zooming out, pulling away, and they've already talked about it being like the floor of a tunnel, you hear Steve say, "It's almost like we can't miss." And I just laughed and said, "Okay, calm down.
Calm down, Steve.
Calm down, Steve. We've been missing for quite a while." So yeah, we can miss.
Hey, it's good to have the optimism. It's good to have the excitement. So can you blame the guy?
No,
He's
and
stoked.
I think about, so last year, remember when he was climbing into the clearing, quote unquote, that was not a clearing, and Marty's like, "You really are the eternal optimist, aren't you?"
Yeah, it's a little clearing. It's like 2 feet wide.
It wasn't even like he could barely, he was like hunched over, not even standing. "It's in this clearing right here." Okay, Steve.
Calm down.
Calm down. So I think Steve's officially the eternal optimist between clearings and we can't miss.
Sure.
We need an optimist because Marty's having a hard time this episode.
He is. But we're not there yet.
We're not.
He's still a happy camper right now.
He is. Especially, what? We want to go St. Mary's?
Let's go to St. Mary's University.
Field trip.
Field trip with Craig, Marty, and Dan Henske.
Oh,
Henske.
Dan the man Henske. It was so good to see him.
Yeah. So they arrived to have the analysis done of the metal found in D2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in addition to the XRF scanning that they did on the island.
Correct.
And so what did Marty say on the way to see Dr. Brousseau?
Well, he's excited, and he's like, "This should be an interesting day, Craiger." I'm sorry, I'm calling him Craiger from now on. That's amazing.
Craiger? What is that?
What?
What's Craiger?
Oh, no. It's Craig's nickname. It's his alter ego.
So usually a nickname shortens a name. Maybe they'd call him C. You know, like you get called D, right? For short for Deidre.
I mean, I've been called lots of things,
Dee,
but yeah,
D.
D is fine.
Yeah, but like Craig, like nicknames are usually shortened and not elongated.
Not necessarily. Nicknames can be something completely different that describes your personality, such
Craiger.
as the eternal optimist is a lot longer than Steve.
Okay, Craiger.
So Craiger is longer, and that's fine. Craiger.
Yeah.
Sup, Craiger?
Yeah, well, Craig said, "Sure should." You know, so he's probably been called that a few times.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So, Marty, you know, they're walking down to the to go into the building.
Yep.
And he asks Dan Henske, "At this stage of your life, Dan, 82 years old, do you believe that there's still treasure to be found on Oak Island?" And I loved Dan's reply.
Epic. So
What'd he say?
composed
You
for an
wanna say it or me?
82-year-old. What Dan says, how can I phrase it? Relatively speaking, I suppose you could say I'm more sure there's treasure on Oak Island than I am the sun will rise tomorrow.
Whoa. Wow. that wowed Craig and Marty. And it was like, whoa.
Like how do you respond to that?
How do you respond? Because literally, you know, the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
Oh, we don't though, I
Oh, we
guess.
do.
I
No,
mean,
we do.
Dan. Okay.
No, we know.
Think Dan is, that's like really, really sure, right? Like more sure than Rick, in my opinion, because Rick is like, even if there's not, let's say, treasure here, there's this story, and the story's important. Dan's like, no, throw down the gauntlet. There's treasure here, and I'm so sure of it. You know,
I'm willing to bet that we're going to find treasure more than
and
the sun
that
will
we will
rise
get
tomorrow.
the sun tomorrow, and that we'll have another day to keep looking for it. He is that sure. Like that to me is saying something, especially considering how much knowledge is in Dan's head. Genius.
He's a very intelligent guy.
So will someone just ask Dan where the treasure is? Because, I mean, that was Laird's plan last year. And yeah,
Dan Hensky,
maybe
man,
that's why they're doing so well. Maybe they just asked.
look how well Dan Hensky's doing. Like 82 years old.
Yeah.
Like he's not hunched over whatsoever. He's just standing up straight, proud, tall. You know, has his wits about him.
Mhm.
Can come up with a nice quip like that. I mean, I appreciate Dan Hensky.
Oh yeah, exactly. And Dan, remember what was Laird telling us about Dan? His like one of his memories from the past season was because they were saying how good of like health and stuff he was, like doing these scissor kick leg things and stretch. I was like, whoa, Dan's a yogi.
I mean, he's a lot better shape than me. I'll tell you.
I'm following the Dan routine.
Yeah, we need the Dan Hensky workout plan.
I'm in. Because I mean,
Dan, package it and sell it. Give me 10% for the idea.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should carry on and get to what's actually happening over at St. Mary's.
There's nothing saying we can't praise Dan Hensky to the moon and back.
That's true.
So Dan, you're awesome.
To the sun and back.
To the sun tomorrow and back.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So they do join Dr. Krista Brousseau in the lab to get the scientific analysis of the metal found in borehole D2 to verify that it contains gold. You know, they get their lab coats on and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Brousseau asked how things have been going on the island, to which Craig and Marty replied, "Good. We've been busy." You don't say.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, I had trouble remembering. And like before we went live today, you're like, did they go see Dr. Krista Brousseau last year? And I'm like, I think so, but I don't remember. So it might have been a long time since they've seen each other.
Yeah, at least in person. Because I think they just sent stuff out to her.
Yeah.
Because we did get like video conferencing for sure with her over some stuff.
Yeah.
But I think with everything on even further lockdown last year, we didn't actually get
something in my mind tells me they went down there, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. They just had so much going on last year in a season where nothing was supposed to go on. So who knows?
Oi.
Craig was bragging, you know, basically he's like, "Hey, we got this XRF device now, so we don't need you for everything, bro."
What's that?
Brousseau.
What is that? A weird flex, bro, but okay.
Yeah. Well, he was bragging.
Good job.
And that they ran this metal and it told him that there was indication of gold. Marty says that they're really excited about it, and it's from very deep in the money pit, and it wasn't a very exciting piece of metal until they ran the test on it.
I think it's an exciting piece of metal because it had that cement type material on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Marty, get more excited, please.
Oh, his excitement's just starting. All right, so Krista says that they will find out about that gold, and Marty says that's good. That's good. What I want to hear. So. There was a little side interview with Marty, and he says that they're not just extremely curious, but he's extraordinarily curious about this metal found in D2. And at this point, you find it hard to discard that treasure was at one time here. And if there really was gold in these pieces of metal at around 90 feet, searchers wouldn't have been carrying around gold. So it means that this is very, very significant.
Mm-hmm. I concur.
Yeah. So we get to see another familiar doctor.
Dr. Sean Yang.
Sean, good to see you.
Good to see you. I don't think we saw him at all last year.
Yeah, it's just so funny. Every time they call him Sean and then they put his name on the screen and it's spelled Xiang. And I mean, I guess that's how you say Sean.
Well, it's how you spell it, not how you say it.
Well, I mean, it's just, I know, but it's just funny every time I see it. But I love seeing Sean Yang.
I mean,
he's fun.
Seems perfectly fine, normal to me. I don't. You're weird.
All right, so Sean Yang, he's there. He puts a sample into the scanning electron microscope,
SEM,
and that can magnify critical features to as much as 200,000 times their actual size.
Mm-hmm.
And it can also measure the precise chemical composition of the metals. So
basically, the XRF is like the first. It's like the pre-filter.
Yeah. Before
they send it in for further analysis, because you scan it and see if it seems interesting enough to spend the extra money to have it further analyzed. Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah, until they got to take it down to the big boys, the big boy toy.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Big boy toy.
This is the XRF is less than the what is it? This thing called? The scanning electron microscope, you know?
Than the SEM.
Yes.
The SEM is greater than the XRF.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Marty says that what happens here really influences what they're going to do on Oak Island for the rest of the year. So he's on pins and needles for their analysis.
No pressure here.
Yeah. Krista and Sean check iron levels first. No manganese. No manganese detected, which is great because Marty says, hey, that means it's pre-1840, and that's exactly what they need to see there.
Mm-hmm.
If it has manganese, throw it away.
Which is
Okay, maybe not throw it away.
Confusing to me because for some reason I thought the manganese was a good thing, but
I forgot. No.
my bad.
Sean says that he's looking for a shiny piece. He found one, and it was detected as pyrite.
Fool's gold.
Wah, wah. But wait, there's more. Krista does say, yeah, we don't want to see that. Marty Slash says, oh, here we go. This is fool's gold. Sean found something very bright under the microscope. Krista does say it's very interesting, and it's
gold.
Gold. Come on, you're the soccer person.
I know. I need
that
to
up for
be
you.
like twisting my scarf around my head.
Mhm.
Maybe Oak Island scarf. Oh.
And do some kind of chant. Okay.
Gold.
Gold. Right. Yes, it's gold. Craig says that is fantastic news.
I agree.
Marty asks Krista what ratios they're seeing in the gold. She says it's gold and copper and silver.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that's exciting. And Marty says that's extremely exciting. So what is the composition of the gold?
So the gold is Sean is telling us that it's 65% gold, 26% silver. And Krista explains
Copper, actually, but
copper.
Who's counting?
Sean and apparently us, but I guess I can't read. Krista explained that adding copper to a gold alloy created what she thought was what we'd know now as like rose gold. And of course, Sir Robert Clotworthy chimes in. And
he has to tell us all about rose gold and the history of it.
Naturally.
And how it was a process of making gold that dated back to the Middle Ages.
Dun, dun, dun. And how adding copper to gold would make it rose in color. Back in the day, they used to describe gold as red in color, as the color red. Let's see here. Craig says he's encouraged that the metal is very old and it was found in an area of the money pit where there shouldn't have been anyone or anywhere around there.
Yeah.
Marty says pre-1840, they didn't know anyone was tunneling in the area. And Craig tunneling up there. And Craig replied, no. And that's why he's encouraged by the results. Know what I've learned?
What?
We should have just listened to Charles in the first place.
Yeah.
Can we just put Charles and Dan Henske on a team and then be like, please let us know the location and we'll come back with Billy's trout. That is all.
Yeah, they're going to need like Vanessa's digger, not
Billy's. Oh, yeah, Vanessa.
Yeah. They do, that's kind of it with St. Mary's University. They do thank Dr. Krista Brousseau and Dr. Sean Yang for their work, and they head out. Marty says that this isn't the last you've seen of us. And
I'm not surprised.
Krista replied, excellent.
I'm sure she's glad.
Hey, so after this section, there was like a commercial break. And you know what I saw in the commercial break?
What did you see in the commercial break?
I saw a Christmas commercial for the Hershey Kisses with the bells.
You mean the same one since like the 50s?
Yeah. And so I guess it's officially Christmas season, even though it's not even Thanksgiving yet. How does that make you feel?
I don't want to talk about it.
Deidre's birthday is Christmas Day. It's coming up real soon.
I'm ignoring that.
I'm not.
I am.
I'm not.
So you're about to.
Anyway, Christmas is right around the corner. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas to the swamp.
The swamp. Let's go to the swamp. We got swamp action. Lots of swamp action.
Okay, you needs to calm down. You and Steve are like a
Yeah.
little excited there.
The first time in the swamp in this episode, we have Rick, Craig, and Billy. You know, the three amigos.
The three amigos.
And they're looking for new clues in the swamp. There is a flashback of, Terry Duveau doing his presentation of the war room from episode 1.
Yes.
And, they do show what we consider to be the peg leg and the barrel pieces.
It's a peg leg, and they haven't told us yet.
Well, we got probably 20 episodes left of them to give us that
to
info.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a peg leg.
So there's a interview, and Rick says that they are engaged in the suggested, maybe that's supposed to be southwest corner of the swamp. It's my typo.
We don't ever go back and fix like the little things after taking those notes. So
Yeah.
sometimes the autocorrect.
Yeah, autocorrect got us.
Yes,
well, I was laughing
the
earlier
south-
because you were coming to the word that you couldn't. It was the word abs instead of and I was like, oh, please say abs. That'd be so funny if you said abs.
Why are we talking about Craig's abs?
Craig's abs. He's buff. No, that's Dan Henske's abs. He's buff. All right. Anyway, the southeast corner of the swamp, and the way that it was going to happen is Billy's going to come in with the excavator, and basically they're unzippering the land, and they're going to peel it back and open it up, and Gary's going to come in with his metal detector and find some items. At least that's the hope.
Yes, hopefully with his metal detector and his twin optical scanners.
Yeah, so does Gary get in there?
Yep, Gary of course gets in there. He's metal detecting, gets a hit, which is a hint. And Miriam comes over to see what he's up to. Got to keep an eye on Gary.
Yeah, I was thinking, I wonder if Laird was like, hey, Miriam, keep an eye on Gary.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that bloke.
On that bloke. I think Gary and Laird are starting to team up. Like,
you think
what
they're
do you say?
secretly best
they're
friends?
the odd couple. I think they're like BFFs behind scenes.
Could be.
That's all I got.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. He is over there metal detecting. He gets Miriam's like, "What you up to?" And Gary gets a reply, or replies that he found some big shards of pottery in one spot, and he didn't want to disturb them, and so he's glad a archaeologist comes over to take
check
the lead, right?
Yeah, and obviously she's excited.
And obviously Gary was wrong because it wasn't pottery apparently.
It was glass. So Miriam pulls out like a broken shard of what they call black glass, and noted that it has lots of bubbles in the glass.
Hey, wait, the chat is saying that there is since we have Miriam coming over to keep an eye on Gary, she gets this.
Oh yeah, girl.
Oh yeah.
Get it.
Keeping an eye on him. Yeah.
Get her. Get her,
well, she's in charge of like that kind of stuff,
She is the spirit of Aaron since he can't be there.
There you go. There you go.
But they get talking about how the bubbles indicate that the glass is much older because it was created using an older process, and the process wasn't quite as refined.
Sure.
And we kind of knew that from last year when Gary found some more. But what's really interesting is how much of it there is. Craig takes a look at the glass where Mary's holding it to the sky.
And what does he see?
That they've been trying to reach him about his car's extended warranty.
As soon as Deidre said that, she's like, we got to make a meme. And so, like, she didn't make one, and I was like, well, I guess I'll make one. I didn't think it was as funny as she did, but it's actually getting a good.
Well, once you made it, you saw how much more funny it was.
It was pretty funny.
Weird because when I watch the show, I'll just like I see a clip in a moment, and it flashes in my head of like,
this is what it needs to be.
This should be this. This should be that. Watching shows with me is quite weird.
Yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go to our Facebook page and check out the most recent post before this podcast post. But it has a picture of Craig holding up that piece of glass up to the light, and then it zooms in, and then it zooms in again, and then it zooms into the piece of glass itself, and it has a little message on it that says, what does it say?
We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty or whatever.
Because it's just a funny thing, and I didn't think it was that funny, but it turned out pretty funny.
It is, and it's over on the Instagram. It's over on the gram too.
Okay,
so
good job. Well done.
Maybe we should carry on with this broken shard of glass. Miriam pulls out another big piece with a woo, and Gary says that they've hit the mother lode. I agree, Gary.
Yeah, he says that it has the 1700s written all over it, which is funny because he's like, this is definitely pottery. But no, he got a better look at it.
Well, yeah, it was like still in
and
the
he is a
ground.
pro. Like he's seen this stuff before. So
And even Laird's very interested. And for them to be able to be sure what it is, they really need to find the neck and rim, because Laird was explaining that it could be like an old wine bottle, right?
Yeah.
But they needed that too.
In my notes, I wrote that Rick, Laird, and Billy arrived to see what all the hubbub was about, and I was hoping you would say hubbub, but you didn't.
I haven't even.
Oh, I thought you were past that point. My bad. Go on. Carry on. My bad.
Rick, Laird, and Billy arrived to see what all the hubbub is about.
Yay. I'm always happy to see the three amigos come on over.
And the hubbub. Oh, geez. So Miriam pulls out exactly what they're looking for, which is the topper.
The topper.
The tulpa. She hands it to Laird, who says it has a nice finish, and again, that it was probably from 1770s to 1780s, he'd say. Laird agrees.
You know what Terry would say to that?
What?
Oh, bingo!
Like literally, that's
he would.
I
if
mean,
he knew that.
No, I'm just saying that Gary said it was 1700, so bingo. Got it.
Miriam goes on to say that it's a good idea, and Clotworthy chimes in and tells us all about the wine bottles, how they date, almost 3 decades before the discovery of the money pit. So good sign, right?
Yeah.
And is this wine bottle from a previous searcher, someone making a deposit? I mean, we could speculate. And Miriam said, it's a good it's a good find. And Gary replied, it's a top pocket find. And my first response was, don't put that in your top pocket. You're gonna cut yourself. Ow.
Better check yourself before you wreck yourself, Gary.
Literally, like that would be quite the wreckage.
Yeah. So Rick says that what he's really interested in is what he's seeing is there's cobbles over here.
Yeah, he's not even looking at what they've pulled out.
He's like, cool bottle, bro, but what about these cobbles?
How about this that looks like a whole new structure?
Yeah. So he notes that it's stacked rock and about 2 to 3 feet tall and very consistent. He says that it could be an aha right here. And it's something that it's hard to say that it's not a human intervention and it's built. So he's pretty stoked about it.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the way the wood is stacked in with it too.
Yeah.
I'd agree. It looks exactly like the edge of the stone road when they discovered it before.
For sure.
Billy jumps in saying that it looks like the edge of the swamp was planned. Like when he's looking at it, it seems very deliberate. So Billy concurs.
Yeah.
And Billy asks if this is from, like, all this stuff is from the new stone feature, or is this part of the road? Because they're kind of in that weird zone.
I thought Gary asked that, but
that's why I just said.
You said Billy. So cool. It's all good.
Gary.
It's okay to be wrong every once in a while. It's not that big of a deal.
I wasn't. Yeah. But the new stone feature, so they're kind of in like this weird little pocket between the features.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like a hole in the features.
Yeah.
And we know from earlier this season with Terry DeVoe kind of projecting the idea that there could be a like a wharf that extends out into the water and how things lined up. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Oh my gosh. I wish we could go back to like the year 1700 and just see what this thing looked like. Maybe that was before it was even built, but how about, I don't know. I don't want to go back to 1800. There should be a note about it.
Should be a note? You think someone left you
a
note?
Daniel McGinnis was there in 1795 and his buddies, right?
So do you think he left you like a note carved in a tree?
Not a note, but
that's what you said. There should be a note about it.
Well, I mean, like there should
Look
be
over here.
There should be papers.
One day we swam upon the shore, and there was a deep depression in the ground.
Is that what Daniel McGinnis sounded like?
Yeah.
You're weirdo.
I am. Mm-hmm. You're the one wanting to go back in time to find a note from McGinnis.
Yes.
Let's carry on in our current
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Well, Rick does ask, what is this doing so deep? Laird says that's a good question because it is a bit deeper. It looked like it was deeper than the other section of Stone Road, but it was a lot closer to the ocean. So
Mhm.
that could have something to do with
Could
it.
have been something like trash that dropped in, off the path or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're drinking your wine bottle and you trip over a stone and sinks to the bottom.
Yeah. Miriam takes a look at it and she says she's not sure what direction it's going at, but it's so weird. And Gary says it's fantastic.
Gary likes weird.
Yeah, I guess so. Rick says that he thinks that he needs to try to find the boundary. And there's a side interview with Rick saying that there may be a path that leads south and east from the Stone Road, and that he thinks that they need to have Steve Guptill come out and accurately pin these stones and take the data and establish boundaries. So what happens after that?
Call in the Guptill!
Steve arrives to do his
Steve
thing.
practically comes trotting in.
Mhm.
It's like he knows there's like I was going to say Steve GPS, but that is actually a thing.
It's
like
a Steve signal.
Steve PS.
Yeah. Okay, so you and I watched the new Superman Adventures, or what is it, Superman and Lois?
Yeah.
It's like a new show on I was gonna say WB, but that's not a thing anymore. What is the channel? The CW.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's what channel it's on. Anyway, how they call Superman is they have like this like if he's on the other side of the world or something, they like each family member has like a little button that they press and Superman flies in.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that's what they have for Steve. They have one of those for Steve where they click it and Steve comes running in, right? Isn't that basically the same thing? Right. At first you're like, what are you talking about, you weirdo? And then you're like, wait,
I feel like they have like a Steve GPS tracking device, and then they
they press a button, Steve shows up.
And Steve's like, trot, 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 here I come, me and my big stick.
Basically.
Because he's gonna part the waters like Moses. Okay,
oh, yeah.
So here comes Steve arriving to do his thing, and Steve says that he can tell that one of his targets, elevation-wise and alignment-wise, it works with the cobble of the path. If it is, and that's probably man-made. And what are you? That heads east-west.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
All right. Steve says that he can tell that one of these targets he's looking at, elevation wise and alignment wise, works with the cobble path, and that is man-made and is part of the type of path that it could be an outlet and heads east toward the money pit. So if this is man-made, it could potentially be very important. Steve then surveys and he says that he'll put it on a plan when he's done. Hey, time out real quick. I just want to say, like, we decided to go live today, spur of the moment. Like, we didn't have an elaborate plan put up. I did notice that I got a notification that the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond is live right now. So if anyone wants to drop out and go jump over there because they have a scheduled live thing.
Yeah, I forgot.
Go do that. Feel free. Come back and watch us or download the podcast and listen anytime. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We try not to schedule at the same time as those guys.
Yeah, and so also if you're a podcast listener of ours, there's another excellent podcast called The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond. You can find it on you can download it anywhere right now, right?
Yep. Spotify, all those places, and then they're also on YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah. And our cat is making himself known once again. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Don't feel bad if you want to jump out and go jump into their live thing that was scheduled, and then you could come back and watch this anytime because it's always going to be here.
Yep.
Their thing's always going to be there too, but
we love those guys.
Yeah, they're cool. We don't want to,
I think
we didn't mean to
they do something special on Saturdays.
Yeah, so our bad. We're gonna try to do these on Thursdays going forward.
Yes.
It was just we're just catching up today. Sorry for so now back to our regularly scheduled shenanigans.
You mean not regularly scheduled program?
Basically. All right, so in a side interview, after Steve said his thing, we did have Rick say that it is possible that the part of the path that leads to the swamp from the money pit or to the money pit from the swamp to the money pit is interesting feature to him, and it speaks to the original paved area. It
Mhm.
looks like it, and it's very well defined.
The original paved area or the original?
I don't know. It all has so many names. I'm
'Cause
thinking he's
there's the
talking about the
paved
northern
area.
part of the swamp.
Do you, or do you think they're talking about the road?
I think they're talking about the paved area up in the northern part of the swamp. But heck if I know.
Heck if you know.
Yeah.
This confused me because what I remember as the
Mhm.
takeaway from this was that the elevations were both at 1 foot 8 inches.
Mhm.
But I didn't see any of that in there, so I was confused as to what you were talking about. But yeah, it looks like it's important, and yeah, good job, Steve.
Mary McMahon in chat asks for the cat's name.
The cat's name is Simon Howell.
Simon Howell, because he's a howler.
Yes.
He came to us with the name Simon. Deidre named it Howell. All right, so do we go to more of the swamp? I know we have more swamp action. Let's do that. Then we could come back and do the interpretive center stuff.
Yeah, I agree. So
we do have more work down in the southeast corner of the swamp. Let me take a look here. I just want to make sure that it makes sense to go here. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay. All right, so we have Laird, Liz, and Miriam doing their thing.
Yep. The trial team unite. And this is the next morning after they've had a conversation at the Oak Island Interpretive Center patio.
Sure.
We'll go back and talk about that. Laird is digging in a pit and has found a piece of very old pottery. And it looks to be very delicate and it's fairly deep.
Yeah, to me, when he was trying to get this out, I was like, if I saw that, I would just think it's a piece of dirt. And
like a rock.
I'm
right?
sure if I would have grabbed it and touched it, it would have just dissolved in my hands, and I would have been like, okay, it's just a piece of dirt.
Good thing you're not an archaeologist.
Yeah. But
Laird is like, Liz, come here. And she comes running. And I would like to point out she has a utility belt with a trowel in it. It's amazing.
You said, I love her necklace. I'm like, what necklace?
Yeah, she's got a necklace with a trowel on it. Yeah. She's like all in.
Yeah, I didn't see it because I don't know, she seems to flash in front of the screen. Like she's the Flash. If she's a superhero there, she's like, and no. I don't see it. She doesn't get the camera on her.
She is the Robin to Laird's Batman. They are quite the tag team.
No, duo.
They are a duo.
So Batman and Robin are the dynamic duo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a name for this duo?
The dynamic duo.
Oh, okay. That works too.
So, yeah, and it's delicate, and he says it's fairly deep. Liz goes on to tell him, well, that's okay. It means it's probably in its original context, right?
Yeah.
Laird agrees and asks her to make him a tinfoil pouch for it. And Laird is very carefully pulling it out and putting it on the foil. And this is where he says, this is where we find out it's a rock.
No, you're not Steve, bro.
I know. Only Steve finds rocks.
Steve finds rocks.
Sorry, Steve. We're really kind of giving you the run today.
We still heart you, Steve. It'll never change. It'll never change.
But clearly it is not. It's just really degraded. And he's showing that there's lots of grits on it. Explains to Liz there might be some decoration on the other side once they get it cleaned up. And you can tell it's definitely not a rock because of the type of striations in it. Yeah.
Oh, John in the chat, the Digmatic Duo.
Ooh.
It's pretty good.
That is pretty
good. That's from John H. Thanks for
John H.
Yeah, thanks. I like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Laird and Liz tag teaming it down there.
Yeah, and Laird goes on to say it's definitely Mi'kmaq pottery. Like he's very sure of this and describes it as the most delicate that he's ever seen.
Does that mean oldest?
Most likely, or just because it's so degraded, right?
It's been submerged forever.
I would imagine Laird seen a lot of very delicate items, so that's saying something.
Yeah, we do have Clotworthy chiming in with a kind of a little overview of the Mi'kmaq pottery. And so I always called it Micmac because that's what they had. That's what they had called it at points.
We've heard it many ways.
Yeah, I'm going to say something else right now real quick. Like, sorry, I got a little phlegm in the throat. But I'm good now. So they talk about First Nations, Acadia First Nations and stuff. And it's just so hard for me to wrap my brain around that term because like growing up, it was always, Indians, the Native Americans, and I'm assuming Native Canadians. Do they in Canada? Did they call them Native Canadians? And it's just like
First Nations.
It's only like the last couple years that's become more of a popular term. And so it's just like hard for me to like anytime they say it, I don't know. It's just like,
well, you're shifting like what you're used to hearing ever since growing.
Yeah, it's just weird that something like that was like a normal thing kind of changed over time. And I don't know, just an example of that. I don't have any real thing to talk about as far as it goes. It's just something, just recognizing that times are changing, I guess, huh? Because that's something that people.
I like that term, but I like First Nations.
Yeah, it's just weird for me still. I just need to hear it more. Yeah.
Well, luckily, you're going to hear it plenty more here on the Curse of Oak Island.
I guess so.
Yes. I think it's wonderful. Let's see here. Laird is showing, we already went through on the lines. He is explaining how they used to call this like from the ceramic period, and now they call it the woodland period. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I'd have to do some Googling. But so he said it could be 500 years old or it could be up to 2,500 years old. That's a huge difference, or a huge like gap. Laird usually gives us a pretty big time frame, but this is even big for Laird.
Yeah, it's 2,000 years.
So in an interview, Laird says that ever since he's been working on Oak Island, he's expected they would find something from the Mi'kmaq here, and expected the evidence that they're finding now, even though it's really, really early, right, as far as what they're finding, and they've only opened up just a little bit of the ground, right? We talked about zippering it open, but it's with it being so deep and with it being pottery, it's like saying they've been here a long time, with it being pottery and being so deep. But he's going to take the artifacts back to the archaeology trailer. And
wait, do we need it now?
Yep.
To the archaeology trailer with at least Batman, right?
Yes.
Laird Man.
Not Bat Laird. So, but he also needs to let Rick know. And this is where he asks Liz if she can hold the fort. And she says, absolutely. And I'm like, yeah, you're definitely Robin.
And then we're like,
oh, yeah, girl.
She's got it, bro.
Yeah, she does. My notes even say Liz is totally Robin to Laird's Batman.
There you go.
She even already has the utility belt. Mad props to Liz.
Mad props.
Okay, so no, we have more swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they come back with Steve's show and tell.
Well, what the archaeology trailer, what happened?
But we don't know because it's not like they scanned anything with.
Oh, so it's basically Laird just headed out there.
Yeah, Laird is saying, gotcha. I'm taking the tin foil. I'm taking my dinner.
I thought that they went into the archaeology trailer for some reason. I guess not. Well, it's all right. We got the sound.
We got a flashback from the archaeology trailer earlier.
All right. So the last time in the swamp, do we want to talk about that or the war room?
Let's go swamp.
Yeah, I think the swamp is fine.
So, Steve has told them he's going to do a plan after he took like the boundaries and everything. And that Rick was asking him to project the paths in the different directions.
Yeah, so they do show up with like Rick is there, Laird, Miriam, Billy, Dr. Spooner, and Steve. And Rick is like, so what was the results of you mapping that out? And Steve was like, yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah. He's like, I got all the cards right now.
He totally does. And he shows up with handouts for everybody, which I laughed. I was like, okay.
That's something you would do.
Handouts,
Yeah.
yes. And he hands out 2 different ones. He's like, here's ones with the projections of this path. Here's one with the new tie-ins. And I'm like, oh my gosh, teacher Steve coming out. So he's doing like an on-site visit there. Steve says he has projected theirs, like you said.
But he's like,
being all coy.
But what else? He's like, I don't have opinions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was going to take that sound clip. I don't have opinions. I have facts.
Whoa, bro.
I feel like Steve might be a data guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
So he has facts. And he points out that the cobbled path from last year and then kind of like that new area that they're standing at.
Yeah.
Looks like as far as elevations and everything, it projects that it would come together and line up as being part of that. Everybody looks shocked.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Even Laird is like, oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Seriously, he's thinking, I'm never going to get to retire, is what Laird's thinking.
Sorry, Laird, you're going to be on the island forever.
Remember when Alex in season 1, like episode
Hope I'll spend the rest of
3.
my life here. Sorry, Alex, you're there forever.
We're going to be here for the rest of your summer. Hope not the rest of my life.
You're
Joke's
a lifer.
on you, bro.
You're a lifer.
You're a lifer. So what you can see on the paper is when you're like zoom in to the grid for the projected path, like the second one he wanted him to do, which was headed northeast.
East, yep.
Yeah, northeast. It cuts right across the top of like the Dunfield Dig area.
Guess where it lands? Guess.
Right north of C1 by just a couple feet.
Yeah, basically right by borehole D2. It's like right there. Because why not?
Because we should have just listened to Charles.
Charles knew what he was talking about.
Back in 2015.
Yeah. Dr. Spooner said that it makes some sense because they're going to into the upland and this is likely what they are looking for. He also says, why would you be going that way if you were a fisherman or a farmer? Good point, Spooner. Good point.
Wouldn't. Well, in theory, I mean, I guess if you're a fisherman, you could go to the water, but still.
Yeah.
So that was everybody's like, aha, whoa.
Yeah, I mean.
Amazing. Thanks for the close-ups of the map, Steve. I needed that.
Yeah, but now they have, we're not there yet. We're about to get there, but they have to stop work on this area and like, why? They got the path to the money pit now, huh? But they'll
Steve
get there in the future.
Projected it all the way across the lots.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying there might be a path to follow.
There is. I guarantee it. There's some areas that are not circled in red that we'll get to. That, yeah. All right. So Oak Island Interpretive Center patio. Let's get to that because that should have probably followed our talk about the St. Mary's University trip. Marty arrives and he says he's got some really cool information. Rick, Alex, Jack, Charles, and Doug are on hand for this really cool information. So we have Marty explaining that they took the piece of iron from D2 to Dr. Krista Brousseau and to Dr. Sean Yang to be evaluated. She said that this was iron without manganese. And that, it's old. They then zoomed in to get a further analysis, and the composition is 65% gold, 26% copper, 5% silver, and says that she thinks that the gold could be rose gold.
Marty explains that if you look up rose gold, you get 75% gold, 22.5% copper, and 22% silver, and says that those are like widely different numbers.
Yeah, that's like crazy because that's like 115%. So like you must have put an incorrect number in there.
Yeah. But regardless, it's still widely different numbers. I know they're not going to get the exact percentage right every time you go to make this stuff. Sure, there's recipes written in code somewhere, but I mean this is a really different composition. So
beep boop 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 boop.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw the R2D2 comment in the chat? Yeah.
Marty then goes on to explain that there's something called Tombaga Gold.
Yeah.
Which the Aztec, Maya, and Inca made their religious artifacts out of, and it's a wide mix of alloys.
Yeah.
I looked up Tombaga Gold, and yeah, there's all different types of
I've heard the word before.
potential percentages in there. I was surprised.
I've heard the word before because I had seen something about it in looking up something for a different treasure hunt a long time ago. But I didn't know much about it because, you know, I knew it was oh gosh, what Central American, South American kind of deal. So yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, Clotworthy has a moment there.
Yes.
As he does. He does also explain that one of the theories about Oak Island is that the artifacts from the Spanish conquistadors and that had stuff they had plundered. There had been Spanish artifacts found on the island, such as the ship spikes, 17th century scissors, the 1652 coin found in the swamp. So maybe.
Let's see here. And in 2015, one of the McGinnis descendants came in and had brought in that golden cross that had been passed down through however long,
generations,
right? And that's the one they took to Lori.
Yeah, they had been told it was found 30 feet deep in the original money pit. Yeah, Dr. Lori showed up in a flashback. That was fun to see.
Yeah. And
you follow her on Facebook and YouTube? You should if you don't.
Of course.
Yeah. She does like appraisals and stuff.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty active.
Follow her. Yeah. Antique expert.
She goes on to say that the item looks to be a Christian cross. And to her, in many ways, it looks very Spanish colonial. Okay, so that lines up, right? And that it had been dated between 1550 and 1700. Will hot dog. Clotworthy goes on to speculate that the Laginas possibly found gold out of borehole. I almost said R2.
D2?
Out of D2.
Out of R2,
that
D2?
would be similar to that of the cross evaluated by Lori. What?
Say what?
And Marty says that now they have an odd gold that happens to fit the narrative of ancient Spanish gold. And everyone's really excited about the idea. And Doug points out, imagine if it was the same composition. So, you know, does this piece of gold match up, say, with what the composition of that other gold cross?
The McGinnis cross.
Yeah, the McGinnis cross, which would be
amazing.
That would be quite shocking.
It would be crazy, man. Like, would that be good or bad? Because it'd be like, oh, well, they had legit already found the treasure.
Well, not necessarily, because it could have been at 30 feet. It could have been dropped on your way down. Like,
well, I think the story was that they found like 3 chests.
Yeah,
right?
But then it was later corrected. But
yeah.
Rick points out that corroborative evidence, so you know, anything that'll confirm each other is always the best measure of whether or not something is real. And Rick loves the science and the information, but goes on to say, if you were to ask each of us here where we were going to put down caissons, we would probably all agree one of them's got to go down
D2
here.
Yep.
Yeah. And Alex is like, I think we just made our caisson meeting shorter. You did.
You did. Good job. Well done. Well
done.
So
one's going to go there in the 2D, D2.
Yeah. So we do have some war room meetings now. Back to back, we're going to talk about.
Yep.
And Laird is in the hot seat.
Yes.
So Laird is updating Rick, Marty, and Craig on what is going on as far as that pottery that was found. He explains that finding the, how do you pronounce that? Mi'kmaq. Sorry. I was just want to say Micmac. All right. The Mi'kmaq artifacts. Marty asks what kind, and Laird tells him it's about the pottery. Laird goes on to tell them that they did have a meeting with the CCH, and that's cultural. What do you remember that? Something in heritage. I probably should just say CCH. And it was a productive meeting. And Rick agrees that it was positive. The CCH was thrilled with the find. Laird goes on to explain that it shows that they were doing their job because it was they were so careful, and that the things that they found were pretty much undisturbed.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, right? Yeah. Good job. You're doing your job.
Well, that's what he was brought there to do, yo.
Yep, and he hasn't left.
Yeah. So, however, Something CCH has done now is that they are getting a hold of Acadia First Nations to see if they are interested in coming to the island for a site visit. Marty and Craig agree that it's a great idea and they have no problem with it.
Yep.
Should have resisted, guys. Just kidding. J/K.
Rick chimes in saying that Laird has brought up a concern and says that CCH might require them to stop work in the area because of the artifact found. And of course, Marty and Craig don't look thrilled.
Nope.
I mean, I understand, but do what we got to do. Marty goes on to say, of course, they're going to cooperate and follow the rules. They found First Nation artifacts and they have a duty to report them.
Yep.
He is, however, concerned about what they might say and do and require. It doesn't dissuade him from doing it, as in like reporting and all that good stuff.
It's the right thing to do.
Because it is the right thing to do. They have certain, First Nations, they have certain rights under Nova Scotia law, and of course they're going to abide by that.
Sure.
And Rick points out that without the mystery, nothing else goes on, nothing else happens. And Marty more or less actually corrects him and says, without you trying to solve the mystery, nothing else happens. Because, they wouldn't have got here without them trying to solve the mystery.
Yep.
Or this show. Or I mean, it's a good and valid point.
Yeah, they the First Nations do have a they got to thank the team, right? They wouldn't be aware of this find without them. So I mean, both sides have a
particular team.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought in an archaeologist. They brought in more archaeologists. I mean, everybody had to assume eventually they were going to find First Nations stuff as it got bigger and bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And they're doing it the right way with plenty of oversight. So,
Yep. So, Rick says that the CCH has said that they will work with us, and he's hoping to hold them to that. And so I hope they do too. Marty thanks them for the update and says that Laird will continue to do his thing in the southeast corner of the swamp until he's satisfied, and CCH is satisfied and will go dig elsewhere. Everyone heads out back to work and hopes that the next update will be more positive. Will it be?
As Laird knocks on wood.
And Laird literally knocked on the table. So we go back to the war room with an update. And
Rick even calls it an emergency meeting. He said anybody that was available on the island, he was bringing them in to kind of give them the update. So Rick, Scott, Doug, Laird, Steve, Charles, Jack, and then Marty and Craig are on Zoom. And he's calling this meeting in regards to the fallout from notifying Acadia First Nations. And he wants everybody to understand the current situation. And he tosses it to Laird to bring everybody up to speed. And then my heart breaks for Laird.
So Laird's still in the hot seat here.
Yeah. It's pretty clear that Laird isn't thrilled at the idea of delivering devastating news.
Yeah.
And, I understand that. Acadia First Nation got a hold of CCH because we knew CCH was going to try to get a hold of them. And this is all, of course, in regards to the pottery that was found.
Yeah.
Being that it was pottery that was found, mean that they had been there for quite some time, which I mentioned earlier. How long, we don't know, but pottery indicates a long time. Rick says that they have Acadia has requested maps and all the information and the data regards to the finds, the locations, the depths, the elevations. Okay, I'm thinking it's a good thing they hired Steve.
Yeah.
Like 4 years ago, because they wouldn't have had all this data.
And Steve's got it all.
And Steve has now, but I mean, they're literally asking not only for the finds, but the location, depths, and elevations. And if they're asking that for all the finds, then they've got to have those guys signing NDAs, because they're receiving information about all the land with everything that's been found. That's a lot of information to trust over to someone else that's not in your close team,
Mm-hmm.
not just things specifically in regards to necessarily First Nations people. At least that is how I understood it.
Yeah, me too.
Laird agrees and says, oh, sorry. And of course, Steve's working on that. And Rick has some belief that they won't respond until they have all that information in hand.
Yeah,
I would assume the same.
Yeah, and Laird did say, yeah, that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Laird agrees, and they need to stop work in the area where the artifacts were found.
and that looks like it crushes everybody.
Yeah, Laird tries to soften it a little bit with is just the idea that it's a blanket prohibition because they haven't been there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Marty's clearly not pleased.
Yeah.
Rick says, actually, the wording is like he's trying to get across what Laird doesn't want to say is that they're saying you must cease and desist immediately. Like that was their verbiage.
Yeah. So Marty, poor Marty,
Mm-hmm.
he's looking so down and frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally spent millions and millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
to get to this point. And, you got to feel for him.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you got to go by the rules or else they're not going to let you do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they all recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sad to see, the reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that Laird is just feeling this so deeply. And so I think he feels like he's responsible because he is partly, but he's not.
Yeah,
Because he's just doing his job.
exactly.
But he has to abide by everything or else everything gets shut down.
Yeah, or else.
So it's just it's a catch-22 where nobody's happy, and it's sad, but there are some silver linings that will come later on in this conversation. But Rick does say that they're trying to figure out exactly what the prohibitions are.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve says that they're going to show them some of the areas, and he starts to share his screen with his maps overlaid on them.
Mm-hmm.
And Marty immediately, he's like, well, what's that?
That giant red polygon.
Yeah, there's like a big red polygon and a big green polygon on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve says anything inside the green is that they're allowed to pursue to their heart's content. So go for it.
Especially for drilling.
Yeah, in the red, they need special permission to access that site, those sites right now. And Rick says that the trouble is that the path is going to be off limits, and that's where they really want to explore right now.
Because there's a big red circle over that area, and then the area on the northern end of the swamp.
So Marty, he just seems to get more and more frustrated, and he sees that he sees that big red area, and he's like, they're telling us we can't touch that. And at one point, what is he saying? He's saying okay, well, maybe we'll just go in the green area. We'll just do that.
We'll throw in the towel
everywhere else. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad for poor Marty.
I know. And Billy chimes in saying that he agrees with Marty on this, and he's frustrated, and he knows Oak Island's a special place. He gets that.
Yeah.
But everything that's been done here so far has had way more oversight than any searchers that have ever come before, and has been done carefully. But yet he could go to the other side of the island, dig all the holes he wants, and nobody's gonna care.
Yeah, I mean, are we on Team Billy?
Well, Billy's on Team Marty.
Billy is on Team Marty.
That's pretty much what
I know. It's like I said earlier, it's such a catch-22. I just wish they can keep going, but they gotta respect what they found and follow the procedures. So. Well,
and as they say, it's in the red area, they need special permission. So that's gonna mean extra
oversight.
Well, it's gonna mean you need to get permission, right? It's more.
So basically, I wonder if these areas just become more like the McGinnis Foundation and more like Samuel Ball's property, and they had permission to go on those. They had permission to do some work.
It took a while to get that permission, though, and then it had to be done with, trowels and grids, and like they talked about last episode, they they've gridded the whole island,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it makes sense.
Bonnie in the chat says team everyone. I'm
Yep,
with that.
yep.
We
Teamwork.
just
makes
want
the
everybody
dream work.
to have to be happy about it and them to go through the right channels, but we still want them to be able to dig because we have so much more discoveries that need to be made. But when they showed us the red circle and the green polygon, in between that spot and okay, so the red circle for the new found area,
Yes,
is what I'm thinking about, not the stone road from last year, but the new stone feature.
Yeah,
like when Rick had Steve draw, his imaginary line, his projection between the two. I mean, there's a lot of area between there that's not in red. And so that's where they should focus, I think.
Yeah, I think you start going through where some of these projections are that Steve has made. I don't think it would take too much effort to get down to seeing if there is rock there, right? I mean, some probing into the ground, and maybe they're gonna uncover just little patches of the stone path like they did at the end of last year. So like Aaron and Miriam, like they kept kind of jumping ahead based off the projection of the path they kept getting, and so they could see where it was.
That was more because time was running out, right?
It was, but it makes sense, right? So they could do something similar in those other areas.
They could.
And maybe they're not going down deep all the way. They're just finding the tops of the path, right? So we have the aerial imagery that we know there was a path.
Yeah.
Same idea. You can overlay it to get a projection from there, which very well, if you take that aerial imagery, overlay it, see if it lines up with Steve's projected path, you could get your second confirmer that would put you on a path in the middle of an area where you could dig. Sorry, small tangent, but I think that is doable and a workaround.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they find lots of workarounds because literally we're on episode 3 of like probably 24, 25. So, yeah.
I'd like to, for Marty, just say the poor guy didn't get the chance to digest this information before being filmed. Right. Yeah. So everybody else is on the island and they know that there was a visit. They know that these conversations have happening. Clearly, Steve already had to pull the maps. They have had, even if it was just minutes or hours before, time to digest it. And Marty's getting it in real time.
And he's fresh.
Because they were all probably extremely frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
But had some time to come back around. And they're all probably stressing, thinking, what are Marty and Craig going to say? I would be shocked if Marty was like, oh, yeah, everything's going to be fine. And especially when you're not on the island.
After he spent millions of dollars, sure.
Yeah. You would be frustrated just like everybody else because you don't have all the information.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure everybody else was just as overwhelmed and frustrated. So now the guy has the info. He's going to come back around and he's going to digest it just like everybody else. So anybody that's been giving Marty a hard time, he's a human, just like any of us.
Yeah.
And a little bit of grace goes a long ways.
Yeah, it does. And at the same time, so does it for Laird. Like a lot of people were blaming Laird for all this.
This is not Laird's fault.
It's not Laird's fault. He's following the protocol. He is doing his job. And we actually made a post on Facebook this week that actually I'm going to read it real quick. Let's see if I can pull it up. And it's had a huge response. Like last I looked, it had 80,000 people that have seen this post. So that's pretty big.
There's lots of love for Laird.
Yeah. So we just wrote, our friend Laird Niven had a really tough night last night on the Curse of Oak Island. People are going to blame him for the obstacles in the Fellowship's path to answers, but he's literally doing the job he was brought to Oak Island to do. He's brought so much credibility to the search, and for that, we should be thankful to him and to the rest of the team of archaeologists that work on Oak Island. Hugs for Laird. We still heart you, buddy.
Right.
And we had a couple pictures of him like looking really stressed.
Well, Well, it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, well, a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter and other places had like put a lot of there was a lot of negativity toward Laird that night and the following morning. And Laird doesn't deserve that. He has been such a crucial part of this team. So, and on the flip side, Marty doesn't deserve it either because he's like literally the most, like, without Rick and Marty, there'd be no show, right? And so there'd be no updates on what's going on in Oak Island. So Marty is also a huge, crucial member of the team, obviously.
Well, but also, like, this search wouldn't continue going if it wasn't for Laird. So they needed an archaeologist to come onto the island and oversee stuff. And honestly, there was this stigma. Nobody wanted to come. Like, Laird said, I will come so you can continue doing your work.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted to touch it because they're not treasure hunters. But Laird's like, it's still just archaeology.
Yeah.
And because of him, now other archaeologists and other people are standing up and being like, whoa, this is important. But because Laird stuck his neck out, and could have been his reputation too, this has continued to happen and great things have been found. So without someone like Laird, or Laird in particular, saying, yes, I'll take the risk and I will do this when nobody else would, there wouldn't be any more search.
Mad respect for Laird.
So
hearts for Laird.
Like,
hearts for Laird.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
That's that. I'll step off my soapbox now.
Okay, Mama Bear was protecting Laird there.
Yeah, I was protecting Bat Laird or Laird Man.
Laird Man. Yeah. So, I mean, okay. Let's get back on track. Let's wrap this up. Where were we?
Yeah, we were like at the very end where Rick chimes in and okay. So
Marty pointed out that there are 4 acres that are off limits to them now. He's just so frustrated.
Yeah.
And he says that if there are more things that are found archaeologically that are important, then they might end up with red circles all over the island. And, that's incredibly also frustrating. He says that he has no problems following the rules. He has no issue with that. However, they run the risk of losing more of their property by performing properly. And that's, I said it earlier, that's the catch-22. It's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. Marty says that he's almost to the point where he's ready to throw in the towel and say, let's just go after the green box and everything else, just forget about it. And he's so discouraged and he just wants to finish the year like that. But, like you said, that's a product of being in the moment, hearing it for the first time, not being able to digest it except for with a camera in front of your face.
Right.
Yeah. So he does throw it out to Rick.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to do this to you, put this on you, but what do you want to do, Rick? I hate to lay it on you, but what do you want to do? I mean, because Rick's also there on the island. And Rick, of course, brings everybody's spirits up and he says there's a way to move forward, and I think we should. Yeah. Even Craig is smiling after that. Yeah.
So he says that there are areas that they can continue to intrigue them all. And they do have the drill program in the money pit. It's showing real promise. We'll find a way through this, he says. There is a lot of work to do to help us move the search forward. Gary also says that this is a roadblock that has been thrown in front of them, but we'll go elsewhere and we'll find something fabulous. And there's the camera zooms in on Rick and he's got that smile. Yeah. He's like, oh, that's what I needed to hear. That's what I love to hear.
Yep.
Because it's not over.
No,
there's a lot left to do, and there's a lot of areas they can still explore.
You can feel the entire room kind of going, oh, okay.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you for
brought us back a little bit.
Perspectives. Those of us that have, kind of had a chance to digest it. Now let Marty get through it. They'll tell him the plans. We know they did a new updated VLF survey, so the very low frequency, which was like the Behringer survey. They did their own, so they can probably overlay that. Yeah, right. They've got so many things that they can project and try, and like last year, they hit so many obstacles. They started late. They had to work in different areas. They didn't do big cans because they were running out of time, and we saw how productive and how good last year came out. this is another one of those things. Like, you get a roadblock, and this is what really shows your character. What are you going to do? Are you just going to be done? Or are you going to figure something else out and be more fruitful? Just like Gary said, this forces a perspective shift, and maybe that's what's needed again.
Yeah. So that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
Right. But we have the next time on the Curse of Oak Island,
Yes.
and things aren't so bleak.
No,
They aren't.
they don't seem so bleak.
They do not, because, okay, so next time on the Curse of Oak Island,
Yes.
wood is found in the money pit, and Terry
Wood?
says, yeah, it must have come from a very large shaft.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah, if it was a shaft, it would be a very big one.
Yeah. And then Gary is metal detecting, and he finds what could be a chisel.
A chisel.
Yeah. Where was that at? Do you remember? Like, where
I
was
don't.
he in the money pit area looking through some stuff?
He was
I don't know.
looking through some spoils. It could have.
Maybe it's old money pit stuff.
Maybe. I mean, they did find chisel and something else.
Swages.
Yeah, swages
Oh,
on
no,
a
that was
different
in the
lot.
swamp. Yeah, I don't know. Marty gets professional analysis of the stone shot that was found,
Mhm.
and the professional that is doing the analysis says that its composition is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something. They do go to the archaeology trailer. Yeah, there's so much notes I can't get back to it in time. Okay. The XRF has an analysis on another object, and it shows 87.1% iron, but it shows 0.2% gold. So that's something. Dr. Krista Brousseau arrives in the war room.
Dun dun dun. She's
That was
back.
so cool.
It's good to see her.
It's good to see her in the war room. And she says that the real interesting part of this particular object is there are several gold flakes on it. What?
Gold flakes, like the ones that came up on the drill bit that went into the chapel vault.
And they also brought up the parchment that VI written on it.
Right?
Could it be? Marty says, wow, and seems to be in a much better mood in the next episode. That's in my notes. Like, Marty seems like he's in a much better mood. So he had time to process all that stuff in the war room. So yeah, that's it.
That's it.
There is one little other thing I have in my notes, and it says that there was commercials during this episode for Beyond Oak Island Season 2 that begins in January. So
Woo-woo.
that's exciting too.
Yep. Start of a new year with some Beyond.
Beyond Oak Island and Beyond. Actually, we have our friends doing the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond podcast right now, or live stream of some sort. Go check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
Deidre is always there in the chat when they do their recap. And
I try to.
She's often chatting with Chatterson in there, and they talk to her. And
they talk to me sometimes.
Yeah, so Deidre's
they're cool
there.
people.
Yeah,
I like them.
I don't when she's there, I'm usually hanging with the kids, so I'm not there. But you know,
I hang with the kids and do it all at the same time too.
Yeah, so
we do what we can.
We do what we can.
Should we talk about our Clotworthy moments?
Ooh, yeah, Clotworthies. What won the last week Clotworthy moment?
Well, I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
I'm going to say this one won.
Wood found at a depth of nearly 90 feet in borehole B4.
My bad. That was from this week. Scratch
Someone
that.
Please take
this one.
Traces of gold detected on the mysterious piece of metal retrieved from D2 in the money pit.
Traces of gold is the winner because I picked it.
Okay, so it comes down to Dustin didn't post it this time, and someone should take the soundboard away from him because he just played the wrong clip from. You played one of this week's. You're gonna confuse people.
My bad. All right, so
it's
anyway,
all good. I agree. Traces of Gold was a winner this week. Well, for these couple of days, and then now for episode 3. We have 2 new ones, one that's already been played, but we're going to play it again.
All right.
And
you're going to play it first or second?
No, I'm playing it first.
All right.
Keep it.
So this is one of your choices for Clotworthy moments that you can vote on hopefully later today.
Wood found at a depth of nearly 90 feet in borehole B4.
Wood before. Okay. Cool. And the one that this one is competing against.
All right, what is it?
Mi'kmaq pottery discovered along the new stone feature.
Mi'kmaq pottery
So
versus
pottery versus before
wood.
wood. So
You think people will vote for wood because they're mad at the pottery fines?
they might, but
Or
now
do
that
they
you
think
put
the
that
pottery
in
fines are
their
cool?
head, they might.
Well, maybe the pottery fines are just super cool, and that's what they want to vote for. Who knows?
I think people should vote for what they want to vote for.
Okay. So how to do that is you go to facebook.com/OakIslandPodcast, find the groups that we manage, and the group is Could It Be
An Oak Island group.
Click on it, join it, and then you can vote for your favorite Clotworthy moment.
Woo woo.
Woo woo. All
Okay.
right. Do we have anything else going on?
All I can think of is sharing our handles of how to get a hold of us.
Oh, we do have a new review on Facebook. Facebook review from one of our good friends, Galia Keller. She says, "These are amazing people and a terrific group. A lot of great information and fun times concerning the Curse of Oak Island. Outstanding guest on the show." Thank you, Galia. You're awesome.
Thank you, Galia.
We love
that
you.
is so sweet.
Thank you so much. You are wonderful. And the last thing I want to touch on is Patreon.
Yes.
We do have a few new patron supporters. And so I'd like to say thank you to Julian S. for supporting us on Patreon. Thank you. And Catherine P. Thank you both so much for supporting us on Patreon. It literally means the world to us.
Yeah.
We're trying to make more of the show of this podcast be something we kind of do for a living, right? So if we get paid for it, and I mean, it's always going to be free. Yeah, but it helps us pay our bills, pay electricity, internet, cable, so we could keep the show going. So thank you to everybody that's done that. If you wanted to do it, you go to patreon.com/OakIslandPodcast.
Correct.
Patreon is spelled a little weird. It's hard to spell. It just is. So
it is.
How do you spell Patreon?
Oops. Pay tree.
Yeah, let me see.
So.
Well, Deidre is terrible at
I'm a
stuff.
really bad speller.
So Patreon, I'm not good either, I guess, because I can't even find. They
spell it weird.
PHEREON, I think, .com/OakIslandPodcast. If you just want to go to Google and type in Patreon Oak Island Podcast, you'll find us.
So PATR.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Go ahead again.
PATREON.
That's how you spell Patreon. So there's Patreon's just a platform for content creators to be paid for what they do. I mean, it's still always going to be free, but if you enjoy it, even $2 a month support to us is it tingles our hearts with warmness and gratitude. There you go.
Yes. Other things you can do that help support us are follow us. You can follow us on Facebook at Oak Island Podcast on our page. Of course, you can join the group, which we've already talked about. We're on Instagram at Oak Island Podcast. We're on Twitter at Oak Island Pod.
We're there.
You can email us.
That's OakIslandPodcast@gmail.com.
Correctamundo. Yeah. We also have a website.
We do.
OakIslandPodcast.com. Another way you can support us is buy yourself some swag on there.
Yeah, we got t-shirt designs, coffee cups, water bottles, blankets, notebooks, all that stuff.
Yep.
Go find it. Go check it out. Jazz. So that's OakIslandPodcast.com, and then click on what? Store?
Just store shopping. I need to do an addition.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a while myself. So, but yeah, anybody that does anything like that, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. We love all the feedback, and if you wanted to leave us also a review, you could do that on Apple Podcasts or onto Facebook, and we'll read it if we get it. So anything else?
I think
we got it all. Thank you all so much for being here. You guys are awesome. All the live chat, amazing too.
We will be here for pregame before the next episode.
Yeah, we'll be here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, or sorry, 5. Yeah, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Oak Island Podcast for Oak Island pregame, where we just chat and have a good time with people in anticipation for the next episode of The Curse of Oak Island. That's on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Booyah.
Booyah. Thank you, Agnes, for the reminder. She's in the chat. We do have an IMDb page where our episodes are. You can also leave us a review on IMDb.
Okay, we'll have to look that up. Maybe we have some IMDb reviews that I'm unaware of.
Yeah, I need to double check that because I've got some more episodes to put on there.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks, OG Agnes. Appreciate that. And thank you to everybody for being here today. Anything else? I think that's it.
That's it. So until next time.
Could it be?
Bye.